Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Motorheads, you know that oil is to your engine like blood is to your body. Your engine needs it to lubricate everything inside. It's super important, but in about a half hour after you shut the engine off, all that oil drains out. And of course, Kevin, it takes about 3.5 seconds for that oil to get back up in.
Well, yeah, that's true on the
once you start it.
Pentastar engine, especially that.
Yeah, so and that can be problematic. That you've got a dry start there, and it's running several revolutions before you get any oil pressure to it.
Right.
So what can go wrong with a dry start like that, prolonged dry starts?
Well, it is a prolonged dry start, so this has a very long route. It has to come up from the pump, fill up the oil filter, plus the oil cooler, go back down midships, the main oil feed galley, then back up to the head. So that takes 3.5 seconds.
It's a long trip.
And engines start very fast now. 90-degree turn of the crank, and bam, she's going, right?
So as engines have evolved, this has become more problematic.
Right.
And let's look at what can happen when you get those prolonged dry starts.
Right.
Show us here where we see some wear there on the
Right.
cam
So
boat.
this is a sample of a cam out of a 2018 Jeep Wrangler with 43,000 miles on it. And the variable valve timing system on this, normally it runs on rollers for the lifter, but when that kicks in, we've got it running on a solid lifter type of design and no rollers. And you can see right here where we've actually worn about a 1/16 of an inch, and it gets worse than this, but here a 1/16 of an inch groove out of 43,000 miles. And again, it's not really about the number of miles, it's about the number of starts. That's where this wear is occurring.
So what's the solution? Baxter Performance has it.
Well, we give it a head start, make it more like a regular engine. So what we do is, with the example for the Pentastar engine, using adapters that we came out with for that, we're able to convert to a spin-on filter, retain the oil up on top when normally it would just drain out, and get that oil pressure and delivery built up faster and get it to where it needs to be.
So what kind of head start are we talking?
Well, I mean, it cuts everything in half, so it takes like a 1.5 seconds versus 3.5 seconds.
And this, of course, affects the Pentastar engine, as you've talked about, but you've got other ones here as well.
Right.
Other adapters, and anybody can use this. This is if you're, the soccer mom and you're starting and stopping and starting and stopping all day long.
So the Pentastar engine, it drains out in about 35 minutes. With the Ford EcoBoost on the 2.7 3-liter models, where you have the cartridge filter on top, that drains out in 18 minutes. With other systems like Toyota, we have bottom-mounted cartridge filter conversions, very important there. And as a matter of fact, Toyota has gone back to spin-on filters for the advantages that are obvious. With a spin-on filter, you have an anti-drain back valve, you have greater retention in the engine, you build oil pressure faster. All of these things have one thing in common across the board, not only on our remote systems, but also the Toyota now. We've incorporated the Schrader valves. And what this does is it evacuates the system so that when you remove the filter, clean removal, even on a bottom mounted filter, no mess.
I've seen plenty of messes with my Toyota doing that. Your oil everywhere.
Right.
So this will clean all that up.
Right. So the Schrader valve is just like the tire valve on your car. So you just use a regular air chuck. Depending on the system in play here, you might want to use just like 30 psi. Bottom mounted ones, you might want to use 90 to 100 psi. We just get that flow going, get everything back to the oil pan, so you have one point of oil removal, and that's the pan.
Now, you've installed an adapter on the Jeep with the Pentastar engine behind us. What was that whole process like? Walk us through the installation.
Well, it varies a little bit from model to model. Obviously, they use the Pentastar engine a lot more than Wranglers, right? They use it in Dodge minivans, ProMaster vans, Ram 1500 trucks. So on this particular installation, we had to remove a plastic boss that sticks off the intake manifold, not used for anything, but it was in the way, so we had to remove that.
This engine has an e-torque motor, so how is it different from some of the other configurations?
So it has a vacuum pump sitting up on top of it, and what that does is it's in the way of our installation for our adapter in this particular model. So what we have is a bracket to move that whole system forward 1 inch, so we have a clear shot at installing our adapter and making it more serviceable from that standpoint. So the end result is we get oil pressure and delivery faster. We also make it more serviceable by having the Schrader valve on the oil filter, so when we remove it, no mess. The engine's happier, you're happier, and that's a good thing.
Well, you heard it there. You can prolong the life of your engine. You can make oil changes a lot easier and a lot cleaner. Go to BaxterPerformanceUSA.com to find one for your vehicle. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Steel Rubber Products, so keep it tuned right here. Motorhead Garage, presented by Steel Rubber Products, brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. And by Custom Auto Sound, audio for the great classics, customs, and street rods. Motorheads, you know the elements can be unpredictable. You might end up driving in the snow or the ice unexpectedly. Maybe you get stuck in the mud. And if you do get stuck, that is going to ruin your day. And if you're in a commercial vehicle, that's going to cost you time and money. But there is a way to get out. It's called Truck Claws. It's revolutionary, and it comes from the, I wish I'd have thought of that department, because it's simple and it's elegant. In short, how do Truck Claws work?
So Truck Claws, you attach them to your tire once you're already stuck, mud, sand, snow, ice. You feed a ratchet through the spokes in your wheels, set the claw on top, feed the end of the strap through the mandrel, ratchet it tight, and you're good to go. Once it's on, climb back in your vehicle, apply slight pressure. You don't want to get in and just mash it to the floor. You're trying to ease the tire around so the claw gets into a bite and then lifts you up, over, and out of the hole you're in. So you're not in there just trying to dig a big rut or gassing it as hard as you can. It's nice controlled motion.
How's this different from like putting chains on your tires?
Okay, so chains, once you're already stuck, chains are not going to go on. You know, anybody who's dealt with chains, you know, you're already fighting those when you're on flat, uneven, unstuck, smooth ground ahead of time. Once you're stuck, you're not going to be able to get the chain wrapped around. So that's the advantage of this over a chain, is you can put this on after you're stuck, get to where you're going, get out of the hole you're in. You can drive for a mile, 2 miles at low speeds. You don't have to get out and reconfigure, rehook, reattach every time you get stuck or unstuck. So you can leave the claw on the tire, travel 100 yards, 200 yards till you're through what you're concerned about, and then you're good to go.
There are other ways to get unstuck. How are Truck Claws different from those?
Okay, so Truck Claws are much more compact for one, so that's one big advantage, you know. But once you're on the tire, you're good to go. You don't have to get out and reset every 3 or 4 feet like some of the other options there are out there.
And with those other options, you have to go back and retrieve it out of the mud.
Correct.
So, or out of the snow and everything. So
Correct.
It's not
yeah,
like
so
other
this
Truck
stays
Claws.
attached, it goes with you, and once you get unstuck, you don't have to, like you said, go back and get it again. You can take it with you, it's in a bag, it's contained, so you're not dealing with the mess during or after the fact.
And you've got a number of different Truck Claws here. Let's walk through, starting with this one down here.
Okay, so this is our TC2. It's mostly geared towards light pickup trucks and SUVs, so like the pickup here behind us, 2,500 class and under typically. That's what these are geared for. Light duty applications weight-wise. We have a lot of folks that really enjoy these, that are off-roaders, overlanders, stuff like that. They like them because they're compact and small. So this is the TC2. It's all extruded aluminum. Everything's made in the USA. But that's what they're geared toward, is light SUVs and pickup trucks.
And there are a lot of commercial drivers that use this, a lot of people with fleets. You see a lot of companies out there using the Truck Claws.
Correct.
And this would be what they would use. This is the commercial version?
Correct. So these are fabricated from steel versus the extruded aluminum of the TC1. This is the commercial claw, and then this would be the commercial claw super single. It's geared towards super single tires or dual wheel tires. But the big difference is, you know, we've had reports of this up to 80,000 pounds, getting vehicles or semis unstuck. A lot of folks use these, not just semis, but rollbacks. We've had guys with tow trucks use these to get unstuck. You know, they're going to get somebody, tow somebody out. They get off the asphalt, now they're stuck this far from the road. So these are just rated heavier duty, especially for the commercial guys. This works really well, and it just holds up better once they get back onto the asphalt. It doesn't tear the claw up as bad.
Well, thanks, Jared, for the nuts and bolts. We're going to go over here to Adam and see how it's actually installed. Now, first off, I should mention we're doing this on the front tire. You can do it on the front tire if you have enough clearance, but Truck Claws are primarily used on the rear tires in most applications, right? Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So let's throw it on here and show how easy it is to do.
Right.
And as we mentioned back at the table, if you're stuck in the mud and the snow, you can still access the top of the tire. There's no digging or anything involved. And by the time this rotates around, it'll get you unstuck. Now, this is the standard ratchet strap. There's a bigger one, right, for the commercial?
It is.
Available
Yeah,
as well?
it's a 2-inch strap for the commercial.
Gotcha.
1.5-inch strap for the TC2.
Gotcha, and that is it, and you were ready to go.
Yep.
Now, once again, how long can we keep this on the tire once we're rolling?
At low speeds, you can keep it on as far as you need. Yeah, as far as you need to go.
Awesome. And you've got the extender bar here.
We do.
Yeah, and that is with this particular model here.
Yeah.
Who's going to use that? Why do I need that?
If you're in a deep rut, you need a little more bite or need to get outside of your tire tracks, that's what these are designed to slide right in there.
Well, we need not say more because truck claws are incredibly simple, they're incredibly effective, and they are made in the USA. Just go to truckclaws.com to find the one that is right for your vehicle. And oh, by the way, enter code MOTORHEAD for a special discount. And if you have a fleet, you need truck claws. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Steel Rubber Products, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Steel Rubber Products.
This RV is like a lot of RVs. It sits and sits and sits for months until it's time to go camping. And the last thing you want when it's time to go camping is to turn the key and find that it won't start. Mice and rodents see your RV as a cozy hotel, and they'll chew through wires, insulation, and eventually through your bank account. So when you leave your RV sitting at home or at a campsite, that's when mice move in, and Mouse Blocker is your first line of defense. Mouse Blocker devices use high-frequency sound waves that keep rodents away silently and effectively. You can protect your investment and you can prevent costly damage with Mouse Blocker for your classic vehicle, for your daily driver, and for your RV. Now, let's go back inside to Motorhead Garage in our Mouse Blocker studio.
It's the goal of every manufacturer to lower emissions like NOx, oxides, and nitrogen. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. That's what we're talking about, emissions and EGR valves. What are oxides and nitrogen? Well, the air fuel goes into your cylinder, and when it goes into the cylinder, you get that compression and then that bang, that power stroke. A lot of heat and burning going on in there. Two things happen: temperature and pressure. Well, you take the nitrogen, you take the oxygen, you squeeze them together with heat and pressure, and you get oxides and nitrogen. That's not a good thing. Causes smog and all kinds of problems with vehicles. How do we get rid of it? We use EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, some kind of valve to take the exhaust gases, route them up through the valve into the intake manifold, into the cylinder. That's right, into the cylinder. Why do we want to do that? Well, we're kind of having a controlled misfire. What does that mean? We're going to cool the cylinder temperatures, number one, and number two, we're going to lower those NOx, those oxides and nitrogen. How do we do it? Well, EGR valve. The evolutions, well, we used to have a vacuum actuated one, then we went to a digital one, and we go to a linear one, and I'll show you now we're actually up to no EGR valve because we can use the variable valve timing to do that, Len. Len, I got a cool one right here. This is an old vacuum one, and there's a vacuum pump. So if you watch this pintle right here and go ahead and pump it up, you see that pintle go in? So what happened now is the exhaust would now be able to pass through here to the intake manifold. Probably not a good thing putting those nasty gases in there. Then we went to this one here, which was Ford built everything into it, the DePiffy valve, the solenoid. Then we went digital, then we went linear, and Len, today we don't even have them. Why? Because we can vary the valve timing and keep the exhaust gases in there, but we still have a problem of exhaust gases being in that cylinder.
Right, and at the end of the day, the oil sees everything that ends up in the cylinder. It always ends up in that direction because those exhaust gases and those pressures, they will take the path of least resistance. And if it can sneak around the ring, through the ring end gap, it can get down into the oil. The risk that you run there is that all of those combustion gases that we're recycling through that engine can combine with the oil and create something called nitric acid. Nitric acid has an appetite for soft metals. Soft metals are found where, John? In the bearings.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure that you're using an oil that's got reserve alkalinity built into it. It's called total base number. That's how you look at it if you're looking at a data sheet. We build that into all of our product because we understand this. We test for this at AMSOIL, and we make sure that the oil will keep your engine protected.
Yeah, not to mention the fuel washing out the cylinder. If it's a controlled misfire, we may get some fuel down there.
Right, fuel dilution becomes an issue as well, and you know the oil has to be able to deal with that. Higher end synthetics generally handle fuel dilution better.
Yeah, AMSOIL designs and rigorously tests all their products. That's why I use it. If you want to use it, just go to amsoil.com.
My name is Tony Gemza. We built this 1970 CUDA at Creations by Gemza. We started with just a bare shell of a car, and the owner of the vehicle wanted it customized. So we said, okay, he wanted a modern Hemi, he wanted a air conditioning, he wanted all the pro touring stuff. So we get into this build and we decided to cut the body up, we sectioned it, we channeled it, we did all the hot rod stuff to a muscle car body, which you don't see very often. And then about halfway through, we got the idea that we should go after the Riddler Award with the car. So the Riddler Award is at the Detroit Autorama. It's held by the Michigan Hot Rod Association. Well, since the 60s, this award has evolved into really high-end show cars. And for builders, it's just kind of a chase for them, you know, something to go after. The builders are the ones that always up the game. So every bit of the car is customized. The wheels are custom, all the billet stuff is one-off made. There's very little store-bought on the car. It's a two-seater car now. Some of the high points would be the custom one-off hood that we built out of steel. Inside the hood houses an air filter. So when you raise the hood, you don't see an air filter just, you know, onto the engine. The hood was actually designed around a 1973 Roadrunner hood, which is the owner's first car. It has all Motec electronics in it, which is something you don't see very often in muscle cars. So basically everything is ran through a laptop computer. It makes 1,200 horsepower. You know, to me, it's like the ultimate package.
How did Steel Rubber help you with this build?
They helped out tremendously. So they custom tooled up, made parts for the windows, of course, the body of the car, the doors and all that got modified, and they helped with making rubbers for that. They helped out tremendously, and they're right in our backyard, so super convenient.
What kind of comments do you get when you're driving this thing or when people come to the shop to see it?
They just can't get over the car. They love the color. And that's funny because when we were doing the car, the owner said he wanted it green. And we laughed and said, yeah, most people don't like green, but now when people see it, they're like, oh, I love the color, which we think is kind of cool. But just the whole package, you don't see it very often, right? So you don't see a car that looks that way, the quality of it, so they're just in awe.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Steel Rubber Products. Brought to you by American Racing Headers. Power built with a purpose. Classic Industries, your one-stop shop for all restoration and performance parts and accessories. And by 6XD Gearbox, world's strongest sequential gearboxes. John Wright sent me an email and he said, hey, make me the Motorhead of the Week. Well, John, your wish is my command. John was a state trooper in Virginia, riding a motorcycle with them for about 10 years. And of course, that alone could qualify him as a motorhead. But this is why he wrote in. Just check out his Jeep. It's a 1974 CJ5, and this thing is a monster. Or as John calls it, it's a ground shaker, picture taker. And he tells me he found it sitting on a hilltop just wasting away. And John finally got his hands on it at the end of 2024. And now he tells me there's not a single part on it that hasn't been updated or newly installed. Under the hood, a Chevy 350 crate motor. It's got a Dana 30 on the front and an AMC 20 axle in the rear. Custom exhaust and 35-inch tires. That gives this thing a great looking stance. On the interior, seats out of a Polaris RZR, and that, of course, finishes off the look. This thing is beautiful, and we want to congratulate John Wright. He is the Motorhead of the Week. Hey, John, thanks for your email. You know, you can be like John. Just send me an email, dave@motorheadgarage.tv. Tell us why you or someone you know should be our Motorhead of the Week. We'll get you here on the show. If you love off-roading, you clearly love playing in the mud, but you probably don't like cleaning it up. But Mudbusters can solve that problem. Robert, how'd you guys do it?
Well, we have designed a series of fender flares for side-by-sides that keep mud out of the cabin of the vehicle and off the people inside.
There's other fender flares out there. What are some of the things that separate yours from others I've seen?
Well, the biggest change that we have is our HMW PE plastic. It's a more durable version of the HDPE that you typically find in the market, and it makes a more durable product that's more stable and more long-term lasting.
What if somebody has a special application or maybe a vehicle that you don't cover in a rare case?
Well, that's where our custom program comes in. If they have a vehicle that we don't cover, we try our best to get a hold of that vehicle, design it, and release it to the population. If we can't find one, sometimes we co-opt with an owner and bring their vehicle in and design on their vehicle for their specific needs. If they have a vehicle that we already make coverages for, we have a custom program that will allow you to make changes to our design. You can add width, you can add length wherever you need it so that it works better for you.
We talked about the resistance of the material to weather and the elements and that sort of thing. What about durability? Once these things are on here, how much abuse can these take?
All that you can throw at them typically. We've had vehicles that have been rolled over and the fender's broken and the mudbusters have survived.
If I do roll it over and something happens to it, maybe a tree gets me or something like that, what can I do?
We have a peace of mind warranty. If you bought the set from Mudbusters and you've damaged one of the pieces, just give us a call and we'll replace that piece free of charge.
We know this is designed to your specs because you guys designed them there in-house. Where are they made?
They are all made in Tempe, Arizona, by hand.
So all in the USA, right there in Tempe.
Yep, they're all made to order. We take orders that day. We produce the product that day on our CNC cutting machines, bend them by hand, box them up, ship them out.
Now, it's not just fender flares. Lots of other stuff coming from mudbusters.com. What do you guys make?
Well, we try to make mud protection panels for any vehicle that we really see a need for. There are some vehicles out there that need a little bit of extra coverage around the radiator for mud, or around the battery, or around the gas tank, in the firewall in some vehicles.
I watched you install these. It was a super quick process. How's it work?
Well, in most cases, we design them to be as easy to install as possible. You drill a few holes, push in a couple of rivets, and you're ready to ride.
Keep the mud where it belongs. Keep it on the trail. Keep it off your vehicle, off your clothes, off your face. Go to mudbusters.com. Time is up for this episode of Motorhead Garage presented by Steel Rubber Products, but do not fear because we're going to do it again in 7 days. Until we meet again, so long and drive safely. We'll see you.